Hey everybody, welcome to another video on RC with Adam. My name is Adam. This is going to be part of our Budget Basher quad build, and this is the Budget Basher right here. I have it together. I've been testing it out. I've been trying to work out all the kinks before I make the build guide videos for you, because look, I know you want to get this thing built ASAP, and I want that too, but I just want to make sure that I have everything covered and I'm not leaving you guys hanging, because I know how frustrating it is when somebody makes it look really simple and then it's not, and then you don't know what to do, and then you throw things and set things on fire. But anyway, so what I want to do in this video, if this is your first quadcopter build, and maybe you're kind of new to this stuff, what I want to do is actually, we'll talk about the parts as far as the specs and stuff, but I want to talk about why I chose which parts that I did. Now, I'm not saying that like, oh, I've thought so much about this and I've climbed a mountain and sat, there thinking about which parts would be the best for a beginner quadcopter. No, nothing quite so deep. But there is some thought that I put into this, and so I thought I would share that with you, and maybe it would help you if you are choosing quadcopter parts for your own, maybe for your next build, or if you don't have the exact same parts as what I have on here, you might be wondering, well, is my stuff good enough, or is it compatible? And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So grab a cup of coffee, grab a chair, or a couch or something like that, and get ready, because we're about to have some good quadcopter discussions. Stay tuned. All right, here we have the Budget Basher on the table here, and we're gonna talk about these different parts. Now, I feel like I'm not gonna break it down right now. We'll do that very soon in the build video, I promise. I think the best place to start in talking about all these parts is going to be really the heart and the brain, the vital organs of this quadcopter, which is this right here. Let me get a little pointer stick. Ooh, pointer stick. So it's going to be this guy right here. This is the Diatone Mamba F405 flight controller on the top, and ESC/PDB power distribution board on the bottom. And this is as I've said in the other video, this is a fantastically priced stack right here. It's right about $45. This is the 30 by 30 version. They make a 20 by 20 version as well, and it's a little bit cheaper. This one can handle 6S or 6 cell. The other one can handle up to 4 cell. And now see, I'm doing this build as a 4 cell build. So you might say, well, Adam, why? Let's talk about why this flight controller. Well, because it's priced very well. For one, it's like the best bang for your buck that I can find right now. And the other thing is that since it's 30 by 30, it gives you, I really like the way it's laid out. So you can see that there are solder pads along the outside. So there are no double layers of solder pads, which can be very difficult to get to, and especially if it's a smaller stack. If it's a 20 by 20 stack, that can be very difficult to solder. So the reason why I went with this one really is because if you are new to soldering, I think this one's going to be a lot easier to use. And if you want to get larger motors, we'll talk about those in a second, you can make this up to a 6S build. So that's really cool. I think that's cool, because then you can kind of grow, use this same platform and kind of grow with it. So that's why I got that one. That's one of the main reasons. So this will be, you won't have to worry about burning out the ESCs. Very, very good. And also the reason why I wanted to do a 4-in-1 as opposed to having ESCs out on the arms here, is because it's so much simpler. It is just crazy simpler, much easier to just solder your 3 motor wires on here. By the way, this is just this configuration. I mean, we're going to clean this up once we actually do the build. This is just to test it. So I haven't cut these motor wires. I just kind of wrapped them around here. I know it doesn't look very nice, but that's just how it is to test right now. You can see there's a lot of dirt on there. I've been testing it out. So that's the main thing about the flight controller. That's why I went with this one. Now you might be asking yourself, well, can you use the smaller flight controller? Because it is cheaper. I believe it's the F405M for mini. And yes, you absolutely can. But I haven't used that flight controller, so I'm not sure. I mean, I think if you had the other flight controller and you use that, you could probably take everything that I'm going to do here and apply that to that flight controller, but it won't be exactly the same. So if you're confident that you can do that and kind of apply what we're talking about here to that flight controller, I would say absolutely go for it, because if you're only going to run a 4-cell battery, you may as well get the mini one. Also, you know, it's smaller and lighter, so there are some advantages if you want to do that, but I went with this one and I am enjoying it. So that's the flight controller ESC PDB combo right here. That is the most important part of the quadcopter. So that's why I went with that one. Let's just talk about these motors here. These motors, you've probably seen a lot of reviews for these motors. These are DYS Samguk Series Wu motors. These ones in particular. These are 2206 and 2400. I don't even have that in the shot. What am I doing? These are 2206 and 2400 kV motors. 2206 is the size. And I went with these ones because previously I've used a 2400 kV motor. And so I figured maybe this would be kind of similar to what I was running before. And it just seemed to be a good size. Plus, I like the blue. I'll be honest, I like the color. That was one of the reasons why I chose these. So, you know, if these are out of stock and you're like, oh man, you know, what about the other ones? I think that the 2207s and the 2306s, I think. Anyway, the other sizes, yeah, absolutely. You could definitely get those. The difference is just going to be the performance will be a little bit different. And that's not really, it's not really a good thing or a bad thing. It really just depends on how, you know, what your flying style is like and how you like to fly and what you're kind of expecting out of a motor. And it, you know, it can have some effect on like your flight time and stuff, and amp draw. The good thing again about having the 6S capable stack here is that you don't really have to worry about amp draw because, you know, you're going to have more than enough. So those are the motors, and that's why I chose them. Also, they're really cheap. They're $10. So that's another great thing. And they've gotten really good reviews. One thing to note, mine, for some reason, did not come with the longer screws. So just while we're looking at this here, kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but I did some vibration isolation mounting here, soft mounted these motors. It seemed to help, but I haven't totally gotten rid of the jello, but I'll figure that out. But actually what happened was I kind of crashed this frame and kind of ripped off the GoPro from the frame. Not kinda, I definitely did. So those are the motors. That's why I got those motors. Again, they're cheap, and I think they're just going to be all around really good. Let's talk about this camera. So this camera is a Foxeer Aero Mini Pro, and this is actually my first experience with Foxeer. Part of what I did with this build is I just kind of tried some different stuff that I haven't tried before, but you know, just to kind of see how it works out. And also, it's on the cheaper range. This camera is about $20, which is not like the cheapest camera, but it's gotten a lot of good reviews. This one in particular is a CCD camera as opposed to a CMOS. So that's talking about the sensor type, and that kind of has an effect on the image quality that you see. And it's not so much like better or worse image quality, it's just kind of different image quality. So as far as why I picked this camera, well, I picked it because, well, like I said, it was on the cheaper side. It does use a CCD sensor. But honestly, really the reason why I picked it is because I looked it up. You know, I looked up reviews of this one and saw comparisons, flight footage comparisons to other cameras, and I just liked how this one looked the most. So that's the thing. When it comes to cameras, it's really more of like a personal, it's quite a bit of a personal choice. I mean, everything is a personal choice, but especially the camera, because, your eyes are going to be different from other people's, and it's just kind of how you personally, like it. As far as the field of view, I'm not sure what this is in degrees, but this is a 2.5 millimeter lens. So it has a pretty good field of view. Maybe I'll roll in some flight footage here. Also, I just want to mention about the camera. This is actually, I guess I accidentally bought a 4x3 format camera. but my goggles are 16 by 9, and I'm used to flying 16 by 9 format. So, but I have not really noticed any problem with that. I mean, it really doesn't seem to affect my flying at all. And then I switched my goggles from 16:9 to 4x3, and it looked really weird, actually. Like I'm so not used to flying that. So just wanted to point that out in case you noticed that, you might see some cameras that say they're listed as 16 by 9 format or 4x3 format, and some are switchable. But I believe this one is only 4x3, but I've been using it on a 16 by 9 ratio goggle just fine. So I just want to let you know about that, to kind of give you an idea. And I really like it. And after tweaking, and I feel like the field of view is very adequate, but there's not a whole lot of like fisheye going on. It's not too bad anyway. So I really am enjoying this. And after tweaking a couple things on the camera, I really like it. So I like it much better than my Cadex that I was using, and it's definitely grown on me. So I went with this because it's cheap. I liked it, and it's a good reputable brand. That's the thing about this quad. I wanted to go cheap, but not like super duper stupid cheap, like $100. Like I didn't want to try and keep it under under a certain amount of money. What I wanted to do was try and keep like as low a cost for the best performance as possible. That I know how to do anyway. So that's what I went with. Hey, while we're at it, let's talk about these propellers. These are, there's not a whole lot to talk about these, but I just really like these propellers. These are DAL Prop T5040 C propellers. I'll give you a close up of that. Ooh, propellers. And I think these crystal colored ones look really cool. That they're like kind of translucent, transparent, if it would focus. There we go. Very cool. I like that. I especially like the blue ones, but the purple ones are pretty cool. Even the black ones, oh, sorry, I'm jiggling the microphone. Even the black ones look really cool. So anyway, I really like these propellers, and I think these ones are good. I would recommend you get these because, well, they're very durable. I find that you can usually just bend them back into shape if you kind of bend them up a little bit. And also, they don't have the most amount of pitch. You see a lot of propellers that have, maybe the pitch is that second number. So the 50 denotes 5 inches, so 5.0 inches, and then the second number, the 40, is 4.0 inches. So you might see like 50-46s or 50-50s, and those are going to have more pitch, basically a bigger bite on the blade. It's essentially going to have a bigger blade angle, basically. So that's going to draw more amps, use up your battery more, and you won't get as much flight time. So I like these. I like these for cruising around. I think they're pretty good. I might try a steeper pitch one, but I think especially if you're a beginner, I think this is a great option. So definitely look into these. I recommend them. All right, so let's talk about. So we talked about our camera. So to actually be able to see our camera, we need a video transmitter. And here we have the video transmitter tucked in right there. This is the Eachine TX805. I don't know if you can see that. And this one, so what this is I think this one's, again, it's pretty amazing. Technology in general is really amazing. But this is a 25, 200, 600, and apparently 800 watt milliwatt rather transmitter, which is pretty crazy. That's a lot of power. I do not plan on using that much, and I imagine that turning it up to 600 or 800 would cause this thing to get very hot, which I don't really want to do that. But that's cool. And then also it uses smart audio. I believe I mentioned that in the other video, but this uses smart audio. And what smart audio does is that it allows you to, instead of using the microphone that's like built in here and the audio line, what you can do is you can take the audio line, which is that green wire. I have another video talking about that. But you can take the audio line, connect it to your flight controller, and then you can actually change settings on your VTX via the by way of the OSD using your stick command. So you don't have to find the little button, I think there it is, and press it a certain number of times to change the channel or anything like that. You can do it all through your transmitter, your radio, and your goggles, which is a really cool feature. Also, this one has uses an MMC. I want to say MMCX. Yeah, this one uses an MMCX connector. If I'm incorrect about that, I will annotate that. But I want to say those are the letters. This connector right there, as opposed to a UFL. And I like this because it seems a bit more durable. You can pop it off. In fact, I don't know if I can. Come on, little buddy. Oh, probably just broke something. Yeah, there we go. So you can just pop off the connector, which is pretty cool, and you can put it back on, and it swivels. And I like it. It just seems a little bit more durable, and that's nice. So this does actually come with a little whip antenna that you can connect right to it if you really want to save weight. But I think you're gonna have a lot better video reception if you put this little connector on here and then connect it to a standard SMA connection right there, and then connect it to a video transmitter antenna, or a video antenna. And this guy right here, this is a little, basically a generic, I think technically it's like a Speedix. I got this one from Race Day Quads. This is a right-hand circularly polarized Pagoda 2. And I honestly don't have much to say about this antenna, other than it seems to be working just fine. And I like this one specifically because it does have this enclosure. Hang it, I'm sorry, I gotta get these, I gotta get this stuff in the shot. I like this one because it has this enclosure, and it really keeps stuff clean, keeps things from getting damaged. I like that. And also the actually the bendable cable here is very stiff, so it actually sets very nicely, so it's not really going to fall down super easily. I like it. So, and again, this kind of setup, I'm not really happy with how I have everything set up here, so we're going to change that in the actual build. So that's the VTX antenna. For the receiver, receiver that's going to accept our radio commands and actually control the quad. This is the, as I've mentioned before, the FLI 14 Plus mini receiver. This thing has two antennas, and they are kind of short. That is one thing I don't like about this antenna, is they are short antennas. So I'm going to have to figure out a good mounting solution for that. So I usually like to mount one antenna coming like straight out the back like this, and then mount another one straight up the top. So the idea is that whichever way your quad is, you have a good reception to your receiver antennas right there. So and so the reason why I went with this mini one is, well, one, having smaller receiver saves weight and space, which is nice. And then the other thing is that this has built-in RSSI, so this will allow you to send your receiver signal strength indicator, I want to say is what RSSI stands for. This will allow you to send information to your flight controller, or well, through your, it'll send it back to you actually. So it'll send it to it'll go through your flight controller to your OSD, and then it will send it to your video transmitter, and then it will send it to your goggles, so you can actually see how good your receiver signal strength is in your goggles and your OSD and your on-screen display, which is very cool. And in case I didn't mention, this flight controller, it has a built-in OSD or BetaFlight OSD, which is super cool. Also, I think I also forgot to mention that this camera, actually, this Aero Mini, it does have OSD built in, like automatically, and it does have it can do your voltage sensing as well, and also like a timer. But I just went in and turned all that stuff off, and we're not using the voltage sensor cable. I'm getting into too much depth here, but basically, it's cool because if you have a flight controller that does not have a BetaFlight OSD, which is hard to come by these days, actually, then you can use the one on your camera, which is neat. Anyway, moving on. So last but not least, of course, we have the actual frame itself. Now, this frame is a Hecate 230 frame. And I got this one from Banggood for about $20. Now, this frame, is actually better than I thought it would be. I was a little concerned when I was first putting it together that it was just a little too flimsy or something. And it does have some flex. It does have some lateral movement in the arms. But I crashed this thing really hard into a roof. Or what I mean is, I was flying along, you know, just doing my thing, minding my own business, and then suddenly a house just appeared in front of my quadcopter, and my quadcopter, there was no time for evasive action. So my quadcopter, bam, smashed into that roof. GoPro came off, battery came off. Actually got stuck up by the gutter, but then I got it down. So you can see some damage, some battle scars right here. And on these little points, and that is something that we will talk about in the build video, how you want to make sure those little points go out front instead of the other way like it was kind of designed. So it actually handled it pretty well. As far as I can tell, there's no breakage. It's flying just fine. It flies very well. So I'm actually pretty impressed with that. But in any case, the other thing about this frame is that I wanted to so there were a few key features that I wanted to have in the frame. And again, this frame is not perfect. So if you feel like there's another frame that you'd rather go with, go for it. And you can probably make it work. Make whatever it is that we're doing apply to the frame that you're going to be using. So on this frame, one of the things that I wanted individual arms so that if you do break an arm, you can replace it. The other thing that I wanted was to have kind of this longer body. You know, a lot of frames are like racing frames, and it requires you to like put everything in exactly the right spot, and it can be really tight and kind of hard to work with. I mean, it's hard enough to work with already, but you don't, you know, if you're a beginner, you really don't want to be trying to, you know, cram everything in a tiny little space, and it can be difficult. So I wanted this larger area. I wanted enough space on the top to mount a GoPro. I have this designed, like set up for a bottom mounted battery because that's just what I like to fly with. And so the idea is your battery goes on the bottom, GoPro goes on the top, and then, well, this is just empty space, but you could easily change this so that you rewire a few things and then have your battery on the top, GoPro up front, or whatever kind of camera you have, and then just have nothing on the bottom. Which there are advantages to both, of course. So I would say you can totally play around with that and see which one you like the most. The other thing is the arms are very thick. These are 4mm arms, so quite thick. But you know, again, it's a cheap frame, it's cheap carbon, so you know, don't expect this to last forever. But it is for what it is. I think it's pretty strong, and you know, again, that's the whole point of this quadcopter, is it's a starting point, and it's something that you can grow with and you can learn on. But at the same time, it's not so expensive. Like these motors, these are $10 motors instead of $20 motors. So if you smash a motor, you know, you can buy a new one and swap it out pretty easily. And really the rest of this stuff is pretty, it's pretty budget. The camera's pretty standard on the camera, but like this, and this is the reason why I'm excited about this build, is because this whole flight controller stack, you know, like for $45, that's nuts, because usually it would cost at least twice that much to get something similar. So very, very cool. All right, I think I have exhausted just about everything here. But so the frame. Anyway, so the frame. So there's more space to mount stuff. I'm still working on how I best want to mount it, and you know, that's kind of one of those things that you could probably just work on, or kind of, you know, fiddle with for a long time. Just to kind of tweak it and play around with it. As far as mounting the camera on, well, we'll talk about that stuff in the build video. I went a little bit different approach here to mount the camera, but we will discuss that in the build video. And what else? Is there anything else? Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I am. One thing I'll just mention here, because you might be wondering, like, what the heck are these things on the arms? These are old, like, hotel key cards, you know, credit card type size things, and I just cut them, and I taped them onto the arm, and that is to provide protection from the propellers so that the propellers do not cut the motor wires, because they will absolutely cut the motor wires. So that is something we're going to incorporate in this build. And anyway, I'm just excited about this, so I just wanted to share this with you and give you some insight into kind of the concept and design behind this quadcopter. I know it's, you know, it's obviously not super original or anything, but maybe this will get your wheels turning for your next quadcopter build. Anyway, thanks for watching. I mean, if you're watching this right now, I'm impressed that you stayed awake, to be honest. So you get a gold star. Be sure to like this video if you're conscious. And what else? Leave any questions and comments that you have in the video. Stay tuned for, or I mean, in the comment section. Yeah, in the question section. Stay tuned for more build video, or this build series coming up. Let me know what you'd like to see in that. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support and subscribing to this channel. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel, because, you know, if you are just getting into the hobby, man, you are going to want to hang around this channel, because that is what I'm here for. I am here to help make things simpler and also more fun and helpful for you. So, thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.